Today I fucked up by fighting my cousin, putting him in the hospital, and going to get sued by them. For some more context before this story, I recently split up my family somehow by saving my grandpa and breaking things in his body. Link to other post. Anyways, this morning I was waiting outside the hospital and asked the doctor to come outside to tell me how he's doing, but instead my grandma came. She tells me he's doing fine but is having some back pains and having trouble moving. She went back inside and I continued to wait. My parents were also here but only my mom was with me since this was my dad's father. About 30 minutes after my grandma went back inside, my cousin, same cousin who tried to fight me and the uncle too, came over to see how he's doing. As soon as they saw me, they came over and gave me some shit. I tried to ignore them and it sort of worked. My uncle went inside, as he was my dad's brother and wanted to see my grandpa. Right when my uncle walked in, my cousin, who is a year older than me, came over and tried to get in my face. I told him to knock it off but he didn't, and I noticed at that point he was getting ready to punch me. I'm a pretty big dude and he is a couple inches smaller than me. A fight ensues and I have the upper hand. Nearing the end of the fight, he's getting weaker and I try and back off, which he takes as a sign to go full-blown batshit crazy. I defend and get him on the ground and he goes ballistic and started screaming in pain. My mom and I rush him inside for some help. The rest of it is fuzzy but I later heard I broke something in his right arm and all of that family has blocked me on everything and are planning on suing me. Funny thing is, my grandpa is a lawyer and he has told me stories of some of the cases he took, so I'm thinking they are crazy for this, but I'm still annoyed I'll have to do all that legal work. My grandpa is doing better as of now but still in some pain. Too long didn't read, cousin fights over me saving my grandpa and I break his bone and gonna get sued. Edit, for those who are asking, I did break his ribs, I just didn't find it necessary to put that in since he is so old and many of you guys seem to also be familiar with CPR and the Heimlich maneuver. You know, I'm seeing a pattern on their toxic behavior that I have seen in people. Can I ask, is that uncle and cousin well off as compared to your family? Be warned that they are acting like they are standing up for your grandparents in front of other family members and will blame your family for every other transgression. Are they cozying up to your grandparents, as I suspect that your grandparents are old and they are trying to slowly influence them in their will? Make sure your grandparents set it up early and leave no room for contest. I read both your posts and your family is fucking crazy, dude. Mistakes happen. Ignore all the hate and just focus on being there for your grandpa. If their main concern was your grandfather, they should show it. But instead they sure are expending a lot of energy and time trying to make your life shitty for an honest mistake. I said this in a comment in the other post, but this isn't the first time they fought me over something that didn't make sense. Any chance the hospital would have CCTV of it? In which case, you might be off the hook. You could also have him charged with assault. You were defending yourself. If you get him charged, it will look better on you if they decide to sue, because you have a police report as evidence. Get a lawyer. Your family is a dumpster fire. This is all tragic and I'm sorry, but I am secretly waiting for part 3 to find out which family member you hospitalize next. Today I fucked up by accidentally hospitalizing my lawyer and getting sued by both my cousin and lawyer. Today I fucked up by dropping the remote in my hospital room. This happened about 3 months ago when I was in the hospital after having open heart surgery to replace my aortic valve. Thanks, congenital defect. Anyway, I had just been moved to a step-down unit after being in the ICU for 5 morphine-filled days. In the ICU someone was looking in on me constantly, but in the cardiac step-down I was finally going to get a little peace. It was around 2 AM and my nurse said she wouldn't have to come back until 6 AM. Just push the call button on the remote if you need me, she said. Me, excited about getting a little sleep, but still wired, turned on the TV for what I thought would be a soothing 15 minutes or so. TV is on Comedy Central, about 3 or 4 clicks too loud. I go to turn the volume down, and the damned remote slips out of my hand and hits the floor. South Park is now playing annoyingly loud, and the 11-inch incision down the center of my chest is not yet allowing me to get out of bed on my own. Tried fishing it back with a pillowcase to no avail. I'm literally trying to MacGyver anything on my tray table to make Cartman STFU so I can sleep. Maybe I can reach. My recently wired together sternum quickly puts that attempt to rest. Oh yeah, there's a call button on the bed itself. Yes. Well, shit. It's apparently not hooked up. 4 episodes of loud-ass South Park roll by. 4, and they all center around the 2016 election. Kill me. Now. I could start yelling, I guess, but I'm not in any danger. Being annoyed and sleepy sucks, but it's not worth being dramatic over, right? Wait, something else is coming on. Thank God! Exclamation mark. It's a fucking long Adam and Eve sex toy infomercial. This woman is going into a lot of details that I'm not in the mood for. Now Tom Selleck is trying to sell me on a reverse mortgage. Loudly, make it stop. Now it's Medicare Advantage plans. Exclamation mark. Finally my dear nurse walks in and says, still up? I figured you'd want to get some rest, man. Face palming. Too long, didn't read. Dropped my remote after recovering from open heart surgery and had to listen to loud-ass South Park episodes / a woman trying to sell dildos / Magnum Pie selling reverse mortgages, etc. until my nurse finally saved me. As a nurse, I say just start yelling. You may have needed that call light for more important things than changing the volume or channel. What if something went wrong? Just yell next time, lol. I'd agree, however it should be mandatory to have a fixed call button on the bed. I was in the ER after a car accident last month and the nurse left without giving me the remote with the nurse call button. So not only could I not watch TV, but when my broken hip started searing in pain I couldn't call for help. My chest was too bruised to tell, so I just sat there until my nurse came back. I even unplugged my monitors and they started sending alarms, but after about 10 minutes of the alarms I got tired of hearing them. So I plugged my monitors back in. Come to think of it, even if there was a nurse call on the bed, I doubt they'd have responded to it. Imagine if they didn't respond to the monitor saying I didn't have a heartbeat or anything, they probably just didn't care. I was waiting for ASO. If anyone is near Mercy General in Seattle, I'm in room 204 and I need help. As a nurse, I want to know why they weren't checking you more frequently. We are required here to check patients hourly, minimum. In CFA they checked on me pretty much every 15 minutes. In step down it usually was every 1 to 2 hours. In the middle of the night it could be 3 to 4 hours sometimes, which was honestly nice considering I was there for 10 days. I had a heart monitor on because of the nature of my surgery, and they were monitoring that closely. I had one of the leads disconnect once while I was in there and they flew in there immediately. To be fair to them, I felt like I received top-notch care the whole time I was in there. I also could have detached my heart monitor in case of emergency. That would send somebody in pretty quickly, but again, that's a lot of ruckus for a loud TV. Lol. That Adam and Eve infomercial. Today I fucked up by becoming a slapstick character over a measly $5. Now that I finally had a little bit of physical cash in my pocket for the first time in a while, I decided to capitalize on a days-old hankering for McDonald's that I'd had. Yes, I know my body is a dumpster. What of it? I ordered my meal, went to the first window, and tried to pay with exact change because of the national coin shortage. As I finally grab my coins in one hand, I give the cashier my dollar bills in the other, and while she grabbed the $1 with these, the $5 slipped out of both of our hands. I opened my door to grab it and made mistake number 1, I slammed my car door against the brick wall. The bill was just out of reach, though, so then I made mistake number 2, I leaned out of the car to grab it, taking my foot off the brakes. Now my car was moving forward with my legs still in it, simultaneously pulling me away from my cash and toward the car that was a few yards away at the second window. So there I am, hopping on one foot to get back into my car before it crashes into another one, and this $5 loss becomes a whole insurance thing. As I try to open my car more and slide back in, I continue to slam my door repeatedly against the brick wall, taking off chunks of paint each time. I get back into my own car a few feet before it hits car in front of mine, then I make a quick third mistake by immediately pressing on the gas when I meant to press the brakes. Fortunately, I course correct before we actually collide, so no cars got damaged besides my own. The first good news is that the van behind me in line saw this whole thing go down and did not pull forward, which would have just made things messier. As things stood, I put my car in reverse and shamefully backed up to the first window again, where the very concerned cashier watched on in horror. I fished out a second $5 bill and handed it to her, and for my troubles she gave me about a $1 discount on the whole meal because I was clearly having a bit of a day. Now, 30 minutes later, I'm finally sitting down to eat with one bloody knuckle, as I apparently punched the brick wall while trying to stop my car. Too long didn't read, I dropped $5 on the ground and almost ended up destroying 2 cars all within 15 seconds. Imagine having your car start moving immediately when you release the brake pedal. This comment was brought to you by the Stick Shift Gang. Kidding aside, glad you're okay and willing to share. This is the comment that killed me, smiley face. Oh my god, I feel for you so hard. I hate being in public by myself for this reason. So bloody awkward, shit like this happens to me constantly. I like to think I was growing away from my awkwardness, but then life went, nah. This is you forever. Hopefully you can get more comfy in public. My mom totaled 3 cars without ever leaving a parallel parking spot similar to this. She thought her foot was on the brakes, but alas her foot was on the gas, and then in a panic, moved the car from reverse off the car she totaled behind her into drive, still not taking her foot off the gas right into the car in front of her. It was awful when it happened, but now we just look back and laugh. You didn't total 3 cars, so at least you have that going for you. Oh man. Thank you for giving me this perspective, haha, that sounds often. Cheers for sharing. Your attitude toward this will help you deal with a lot of things. It is pretty hysterical. Glad you are okay. Thanks. I'm already feeling the changes because while this would normally be a this'll be funny in a few weeks thing, I ended up chuckling about it on the way home. I'm glad no one else was hurt. Woof, that's wild lol. When I used to drive I always put my car in park at the drive-thru because I was so afraid of something like this happening. I feel like this will certainly be a new move of mine going forward, haha.